Hello YouTube and welcome to another and a more healthier GV anime review. With this week the review of what seemed to be the resurrection of Puella Magi Madoka Magica, being Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, or the Magical Girl Raising Project. This anime's trailer made me have quite some expectations, but I also wondered if it wasn't going to be a total rip-off of Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Now let's find out if it was. Our main female character Himekawa Koyuki is a big fan of magical girls, and her biggest dream is to be one. Now recently she has been addicted to a smartphone game about magical girls, and one day the game tells her that she has been chosen to become a real magical girl. From then on, Snow White, as her magical name is, can transform at will into a magical girl. She soon learns that there are in total 16 magical girls in her city, and all seems fun and well and happy, until one day the game decides that the number of magical girls should be reduced to 8. The girls now have to race against each other to gain as much magical candies as possible. But soon things start to go south really bad. As you might have figured out from my intro, Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku is not what it seems on the surface. This is not your typical magical girl anime where everything is fun and fluffy and colorful. On the contrary, if you have seen Puella Magi Madoka Magica in the past, well, it's just like that. This was quite the depressing anime for a number of reasons which I will get into later on. Now, somewhere this shouldn't have come as a surprise for those that are familiar with the Studio Lerche. Lerche has fooled us more than once in the past by making an anime appear as very fun, but then quickly pulling out the depression card. Also here, if you have seen Gakugurashi in the past, another anime from the same studio, Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku has the exact same feel to it. The characters being dropped into this dark world where only suffering seems to exist. Now, one of the things that made this anime so depressing, and to me the main reason why I really liked Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, was the unpredictability. As soon as episode 2, none of the girls is safe anymore. Now this won't really come as a spoiler since you see it in literally the first second of the first episode. But girls die in this anime, and that's where the unpredictability comes into play. You cannot predict who the next girl is that's going to die and when she is going to die. Before each episode I made a prediction about who the next girl would be that was going to die based on my anime experience. But every single time I was wrong. Every time it was someone else, someone that I didn't expect. Every time when I thought that a character would be important to the story and would live to the end of the anime, she got massacred in one of the following episodes. So time and time again, this anime threw me off and made me come back for more. Another thing that made me come back to Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku was the fact that there were so many characters to hate. I don't think that I have had an anime before, except School Days, but that was like on a whole other level, where I truly hated 4 characters. 1 character, that happens. 2, that's a rarity. But 4 characters that I hated to the core, that had never happened before. These characters were all so despicable, all 4 of them. Now, I'm not going to say which characters they were so that I don't spoil things, but you can find them on my hated characters list on Anime Planet. But man, did I hate all 4 of them, and all for different reasons, from being absolutely insane to being a terrible mother figure. Now, because of the large number of characters in this anime, a small problem was that the main female Snow White was kind of pushed to the background. She wasn't a real main character. All the time we were focusing on other characters who most likely would die a few episodes later. And because of that, we kind of missed the full depression and suffering that Snow White went through. True, the anime does show that Snow White gets depressed and that she slowly breaks down, but it wasn't as powerful as, for instance, the mental unstableness of the main female character of Gakugurashi. Next negative point was that the anime wasted its trump card in the first seconds of the first episode. They immediately show that this is going to be a dark anime, so the entire surprise of it was gone. If they hadn't shown that in the first episode, the ending of the second episode, where shit really starts to go down, would have been so much more surprising and would have had so much more impact. That is something that both Puella Magi Madoka Magica and Gakugurashi did way better by making us believe the whole fun setup for at least a full episode. And the final negative point is that once again, this is an anime that isn't finished at the end. Can't they just make complete animes more these days? True, the first arc, if you will, is finished, but the bigger picture, being the Magical Girl Racing project, has barely been touched yet. So, or will one day see a second season, which I doubt, since that second season of Gakugurashi isn't going to happen also apparently, or I will have another light novel series to read. So as a conclusion, Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku was kind of the little sister of Puella Magi Madoka Magica. It used the same theme and it tried to invoke the same atmosphere as its more famous precedent. But still it had its unique traits, many being that you couldn't predict who the next character to die was. So overall, this was a pretty good anime, and it was definitely the best one that I saw in the past fall season. So I'm going to rate Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku at 4 out of 5 stars, with my stamp of anime of the season of fall 2016. If you were a fan of animes like Puella Magi Madoka Magica, then this one is an anime that you should add to your to-watch list. If by chance you have not seen Puella Magi Madoka Magica, then that is one that you should add to your to-watch in the near future list. Other animes that I recommend watching are Gakugurashi, as I mentioned a few times. It has the same studio and it has the same feeling. And Saikano, since that one also contains the same dark and depressing sphere that was present here in Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku. And with that I conclude my review of Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now if you want me to review particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. Then I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.